Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Bhutang saranang gacchami, dhammang saranang gacchami, sanghang saranang gacchami. Dotyampi bhutang saranang gacchami. Dotyampi dhammang saranang gacchami. Dotyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. Tatyampi bhutang saranang gacchami. Tatyampi bhutang saranang gacchami. Tatyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. Panatipata veramani sikapadang samadhiyami. Adinadana veramani sikapadang samadhiyami. Kami sumichachara veramani sikapadang samadhiyami. Musavada veramani sikapadang samadhiyami. Suramirya maja pamadatana veramani sikapadang samadhiyami. I undertake the precept to abstain from killing. I undertake the precept to abstain from taking what is not given. I undertake the precept to abstain from sexual misconduct. I undertake the precept to abstain from false and malicious speech. I undertake the precept to abstain from intoxicants which induce heedlessness. Karaniyang atta kusalena yantang santang padang abhisamecha saku ujucha sujucha suvachocha samuru anantimani santu sakocha subarocha Apakicho chasalla hukavuti Santindriyo cha nipakocha apagabo kulesu ananugido. Nachakudam samachare kenchiena vinyupade upavadeum. Sukinu vake minu hontu sabbe satta bhavantu sukhitata. Ye kechipana bhutati tasavatavarava anavasesa. Digavaye mahantava Majimarasakanukotulla. Dittavaye vaadita Ye chedure vasanti avidure. Uttava sambhave siva Sabbe satta bhavantu sukhitata. Naparu parang nikubeta Nyati manyeta kata chinam kanchi. Vyarusana patiga sanya Jnanamanyasa dukkamicheya. Matayatani puttam ayusa ekaputtam anurake. Evam pisabhabhutesu manasam bhavaye aparimanam. Mettam cha sabbalokasmim manasam bhavaye aparimanam. Uddang adochatiyancha asampadang avirang asapatam. Titang charan nisinova sayano vayavatassa vigantamido. Etang satim aditeya Brahmang etang viharang idamahu. Dittincha anupagama silava dasanena sampanno. Kame suvinaya gedam nahi jatu gabaseyam punyaeti. This is what should be done by one who is skilled in goodness and who knows the path of peace. Let them be able and upright, straightforward and gentle in speech, humble and not conceited, contented and easily satisfied, unburdened with duties and frugal in their ways, peaceful and calm and wise and skillful, not proud and demanding in nature. Let them not do the slightest thing that the wise would later reprove, wishing in gladness and in safety may all beings be at ease. Whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, omitting none, the great or the mighty, medium, short or small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born, may all beings be at ease. Let none deceive another, or despise any being in any state. Let none through anger or ill will wish harm upon another. Even as a mother protects with her life her child, her only child, so with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings, radiating kindness over the entire world, spreading upwards to the skies and downwards to the depths, outwards and unbounded, freed from hatred and ill will. Whether standing or walking, seated or lying down, free from drowsiness, one should sustain this recollection. This is said to be the sublime abiding. By not holding to fixed views, the pure-hearted one, having clarity of vision, being freed from all sense desires, is not born again into this world. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
The chanting makes our body, our mind, and our heart calm, and let us stay with this calmness and stillness which all of us are experiencing right now after the beautiful chanting. any egoistic interest appears, if any egoistic interest appears, we can notice it. We do not have to follow it, right? So we do not start a new circle. We can remain here and now. Maybe there are some psychological and emotional wounds, and they may speak to us via thoughts, memories. That means we may remember them. Let them remember. Let, let them address us via memories, via thoughts. Actually, all these wounds belong to the past. There might be hundreds of wounds. The past is wounded in many ways. and there is not enough time to heal one by one. The past is wounded, but not the present. The present is an unwounded mirror, unbroken, an unwounded mirror. And all the wounds are reflecting there. Let the present moment reflect whatever memory, whatever emotional wound which happened in the past. We can see both wounded past, and unwounded present. Unwounded mirror of the present, and reflection of wounded past. Sick past and healthy present, and the sick past is a reflection. It's a shadow. Feel well and be well. Nothing to be cured. Nothing to be healed. Feel well and be well. See how free we are. With feeling freedom, we may open eyes now. Thanks for your valuable effort in meditation, dear friends. We can continue this meditation if we wish.
Sorry, dear friends, may I ask, is this already question and answer session now?
Yes, please ask whatever you want to ask.
Okay, thank you. No, this was the question at the moment.
Good evening, friends. I'm afraid I didn't understand the communication between Claudia and Upul. What was your answer, Upul?
Nothing. It's no. Claudia said this is a question and answer session. So I said, if any questions you can ask. That's
okay,
all.
that's clear. Thank you.
Oh, so, nice to see you, Paul.
Nice to see you, my friend Upul. I hope I can keep on seeing you this session because I'm in northern India in Rishikesh and my connection is very unstable. And there are often power cuts here. And also tomorrow, as you maybe know, it's Diwali, the light festival here in India, and that means there are crackers everywhere and so much noise. So I hope this will go well. So good evening for me at least. Good evening, dear friends and Upul. I have the pleasure and the honor to moderate or to facilitate the discussion. And as you know, there are two ways to raise a question or to share something if you would like to share. At the bottom of your screen, there's a chat box, and you can write down your question there, and you can send it to me. My name is Paul van Hooijdonk, Paulvan. So that is option number one. And the second option is you can simply raise your hand. And you can do that by clicking on the button reactions, I think. Yeah, reactions. Also at the bottom of your screen. And then you see raise hand. And then I can see that you want to ask a question. And then I will pass on the word to you. So I hope that is clear for everybody. Let me see if there is a question in the question box at the moment. There is none. So maybe we can wait a little so people have time to... yeah, there is one. Okay, there is a question from Christian. Hi, I am also in India. Hi, Christian. Gorakhpur, Uttar Pradesh now. Yes, the crackers and traffic is very loud. I understand you well. Thank you so much for your feedback, and I wish you a happy Diwali. Happy Diwali, Christian replied. Thank you. So two people raised a hand. Okay. So two people want to ask a question live. Mandy and Marike. So Mandy, please go ahead.
Thank you, Paul. May I ask Upul how to identify egoistic interests from other kinds of interests? Yes, my question is...
Yeah. First, I'm very happy to see you after a long time, dear Mandy.
Thank you. Glad to
Mandy,
see you too.
my ego is happy to see you. Yeah, how to differentiate egoistic interest and non-egoistic interest? Very interesting question. Well, the egoistic interest is always demanding and forcing us and commanding, and it does not allow us to be still and stay in the present. Also, it puts us in a competition to compete others. And it says, oh, if you do not hurry, then others may defeat you. So with this egoistic interest, we are always stressed. It puts us under stress. And also, the egoistic interest says this, that we have done a lot of damages in the past and a lot of wounds. So the egoistic interest is asking us to go to the past and repair them one by one. And it says we are guilty. So simply what I can say is that the egoistic interest is not allowing us to stay in the present. Either it puts us in the past or in the future.
In a competition and therefore cause stress. The ego says go to the past, and the ego says I am guilty. So the ego's interest is mainly not to be in the present moment, but to go to past or future. Is there anything you would like to add or clarify, Mandy?
Yes, thank you. But the egoistic interest is also created by us, is it? It originally is not exist, but it's created by us. Am I correct?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, Mandy.
Is the egoistic interest created by us? Originally, it is not exist, but we create the interest to make ourselves under stress.
Well, it is.
Am I correct?
Well, it is also an interesting question: who creates what, or what creates whom? Do we create the ego, or does the ego create us? Very interesting question. Well, it's not a creation. It's an illusion. It's a mirage. And we deceive. That's it. We deceive it. We take it seriously. If we do not take it seriously, then it can't be a commanding officer. It can't rule us if we do not take it seriously. So my suggestion is, don't take the ego seriously. The ego means whatever it creates, stress, guilty conflict, anxiety, depression, whatever, we should not take them seriously. They all are creations of the ego. But if we take them seriously, that means we are feeding to the ego by taking them seriously. So in this way, yes, we feed it. But we are not the creator of the ego. It's an illusion. What we are doing is we take it so real, so seriously. That's all.
So Mandy, if I understood it well, Upul's answer was, ego is not a creation, it's an illusion. It can't rule us if we don't take it seriously. So the advice is, don't take the ego seriously. And the ego can take many forms, a form of guilt, a form of stress. We don't create it, we feed it. So the best way to deal with it is not to give it much importance, not to take it seriously. Is that a clear answer? Okay, in the meantime, there is a question in the or 3 questions in the question box, but maybe I give Marieke the opportunity to ask a question first. Please, Marieke, feel free.
Thank you for participating. I have also a question for Upul. You spoke about before going to sleep to let the thinking pass and don't feed those ego interests. And I have a question. I was advised, and so I practice always metta meditation, and well, that is feeding the mind with wholesome thoughts, but just with thoughts. How do you advise that? Would it be better to let it go? Or well, it's puzzling me. Thank you so much.
I'm sorry, Marieke, I didn't quite understand. Can you repeat the question? What happens before you go to sleep?
I do practice metta meditation, and well, that is intentionally cultivating wholesome thoughts. That is other thing than I think I understood Upul advised that you let the thoughts go and don't feed unwholesome or the egoistic things. But I don't know if I understood well.
Okay, Upul, we are listening to you.
Oh, thanks, Paul. And thanks, Marika, for your practical question. Well, it's good to practice metta before the sleep. That means you are creating friendliness, unconditional love, unconditional mercifulness towards everything. That's good. That makes everything peaceful. So you are not feeding to any thoughts. You are just cultivating unconditional friendliness. That means you are not expecting anything in return. The metta, one of the beautiful qualities of metta is not expecting anything in return. That means no ego. If ego is there, always it is expecting something in return. So you may experience something egolessness while you are practicing metta. So please be aware on that and please experience it, that egolessness. And my suggestion is, after practicing metta, and then don't do anything after that. Just relax yourself and just let thoughts come if they want. Or if any memories wants to come, let it come. If the mind wants to thinking about tomorrow, let the mind think. But please understand, they are none of your business. None of your business. You are fully comfortable in the present, fully comfortable. No tomorrow. No tomorrow. So try to make yourself free after practicing metta. Try to make your mind free as much as possible. And try to maintain that freedom as long as possible. And of course, you may fall to sleep. And if you wake up next morning, then please see the difference.
Okay, Marieke, this is what I understood from Upul. It is good to practice metta before going to sleep. You are not creating more thought, you are developing friendliness and unconditional love. And that makes everything peaceful. So you are not creating thoughts also because you are not expecting anything in return. That means there is no ego. And Upul's suggestion is practice metta and don't do anything after that. So if the mind wants to think about tomorrow, then let the mind think, but that is none of your business. Just practice metta and then stay, keep the mind empty if possible. That is freedom. Is there anything you would like to add or anything you would like to have clarified?
No, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. There are 4 questions in the chat box. And the first one is from, well, people are throwing bombs here in the street, I think. A question from Venerable Dhammadipa. which methods do you suggest to minimize the interest or desire which attaches to the thought? Which methods do you suggest to minimize the interest or desire? Can we practice Upul to keep the interest or desire to a minimum?
Well, to minimize our interest and desire, well, of course, we had to practice mindfulness. To be in the present is important. They are the base or the foundations for everything. So they are very important to practice mindfulness and also being in the present. And while we are being mindful and while we are being in the present, only then we can step into the next other things like contentment, satisfactoriness. We can ask this question, are we missing something? Are we really missing something? What's wrong with this moment? We can also reflect how full this moment is, how full, how complete this moment is. And of course, desire is so powerful, therefore it is suggesting us to do many things. And it is showing us a beautiful picture or beautiful pictures about what happens, what will happen after achievements. And we can look at them, we can listen to them. But what the desire is not telling us is all kinds of disadvantages of achievements by following greediness or by following desires. The desire does not tell us about all the disadvantages. So that's why we had to contemplate on them. Whenever desire occurs in our mind, we can listen to the positive side of the achievement, whatever the desire is showing us, and then we had to do a reflection by ourselves on disadvantages. And then we can compare advantages and disadvantages with equanimity. By comparing them between advantages and disadvantages, we can decide. We can decide then what is necessary and what is good and what we have to do.
Okay, Sister Damaripa, this is what I understood. First, we can practice mindfulness and being in the present foundation. And then later, contentment and satisfactoriness can arise. we can also ask, are we missing something? Or is there anything wrong with this present moment? Desire shows us a beautiful picture, and we can look at that beautiful picture. But what desire doesn't do is showing us the disadvantage or greed. So we can look at the positive side of the picture that desire is showing us, and we can reflect personally on the disadvantages. And then we can compare these two, and we can come to a conclusion for ourselves, and we can decide ourselves. So, sister, is there anything you would like to add?
Thank you for the answer. Can you hear me?
I try.
Okay, I don't know. I'm not with this earphone, direct microphone. I was referring a little bit to the morning meditation of the thought processes that Upasa said. The thoughts are coming, and we put like a magnet. We choose a thought which we are interested in, and it's like a magnet. And so this interest in the thought makes the thought process running. And I was a little bit more asking if there is in this form, is there a help to minimize this interest or this desire to think?
I'm afraid I didn't understand anything, but maybe Upul did.
I tried something.
Okay.
Maybe it's the earplug. Sorry for the technical problem. Can you hear me better now?
Wait, I'm going to do something, sister. One moment.
You're all doing something. Let's see.
Let's try it this way. Please, can you summarize your question again?
Yeah, with the question, I was a little bit referring to the meditation in the morning, which I think it was morning time, which was described that we are starting in the meditation, the thinking or thought process, but there are hundreds of thoughts, but not everybody gets not every thought gets our attention. So we choose something, and the interest is like a magnet that pulls us to a thinking journey, a thought journey. And I was asking a little bit in the meditation, are there methods to minimize this interest? So,
okay, I think I got it.
yeah.
If I understood you well, you said we do not follow every thought. There are many thoughts appearing, but we do not follow every thought. Only when our interest is drawn to a certain thought, like a magnet, then we entertain that thought, and that is important for us. So you are asking for a method to deal with this. Is that correct?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so Upul, it's we are listening to you again.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Paul, for doing this hard job. Well, yeah, many thoughts are actually neutral. They are just passing us as sounds. Just stay with us for a short while and then they disappear. So we don't have to worry about them. What we have to do is just notice them, whatever thought arises, if possible. But there are some thoughts are really attractive. They invite us to go for a tour, go for a trip, and they are dragging us. So we had to meditate on them. We had to be aware on those thoughts, which are so-called disturbing thoughts, which are dragging us to somewhere, which are not allowing us to stay here and now. So we have to select them, and then we can listen to them carefully while we are being in the present, not going behind them and listening them. We have to stay here and now, and they can talk to us, but they have to also stay in the present. But they say, no, we can talk comfortably if we go to the past, or if we go to tomorrow, we can talk. So they always try to bring us somewhere else. No, we have to stay in the present. If any thought was to say something to us, that thought should come to the present, and talk to us. So if any thought is unable to come to the present or shy to come to the present, that's it's their problem. We don't have to worry about it. And so if any thought comes and says, oh, you had to do this, you had to achieve that, you had to go there, we can see how it is manipulating us, how it is projecting something, projecting targets to us. And then we can ask this question from ourselves, not from the thought. Are we taking them as targets? Are we taking them as goals? Do we need them? What's wrong if I am just stay here as now? What's wrong? So we had to do this kind of dialogue with ourselves, not with the thought. With the thoughts, what we had to do is just to listen. That's all. No dialogue with thoughts, no need. But we had to do this dialogue with ourselves, with our inner wisdom. By doing this dialogue, our inner wisdom can awake. And when the inner wisdom awakes, then of course, that inner wisdom can show the other side of the picture, the other side of the coin, the disadvantages of all kinds of these egoistic trips. And that's all. Then when both sides are very clear, then easier to make a decision. Am I going to achieve it or stay here and now?
Okay, sister, I try to summarize what Upul just said. There are many thoughts, They just pass, they don't stay. The only thing we have to do is to notice them. Now, some thoughts are attractive and they are inviting us on a trip. They are the so-called disturbing thoughts. These thoughts try to take us to the past and the future. If a thought wants to communicate with us, it should come to the present moment. If it doesn't do that, if it cannot, that is their problem. So we can see how a thought tries to manipulate us. The only thing we have to do is just to listen to them, not to communicate, not to go into a dialogue with them. And inner wisdom can show the disadvantages of the egotistic trip. So this is what I was able to understand. Is that clear enough for you?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you, sister. I go to the chat box. I see there are a couple of more questions. Somebody's messaging me that my voice is coming and going. Okay, I'll try to speak as clearly as possible. And the rest is up to the technology. A few questions, I have to make a choice. One question from Claudia. What's wrong in going back to the past for healing wounds? So, Upul, what is wrong with going back to the past for healing our wounds?
Well, nothing wrong. Nothing is wrong. If you have enough time to solve or to heal the past, then of course nothing is wrong. And the question is, how many times we had to go to the past to heal or to solve one issue, one single issue? How many times we had to go to the past? And how many issues are there in the past? So that means if we multiply issues with how many our attempts to solve them, then I'm not sure. I have doubt. We may not have enough time for this. If we don't do anything else, only if we do this in this life, even that it's not enough. And the other thing is, yes, of course, we can sort out some of issues in the past by going there and by repairing. The problem is we are making more issues. More and more issues are coming. And they are becoming also part of the past issues. And what we are healing and what we are creating. So we can compare them both. So my suggestion is as a therapy, of course, one can go to the past and work with some major issues, couple of major issues, maybe one, maybe two, maybe three. That's enough to learn, for learning. But and we can try for few times to solve one issue, not hundred of times, not thousand of times. We should not waste our whole life for this. And the next suggestion is better to live mindfully, not to make any damage to the present, not to make any harm in the present moment. So that is the thing what we had to focus on. So that means we are not, the past is unable to collect problems if we are living mindfully in this moment, and if we are living wisely in this moment, and if we are happy and satisfied, and if we know how to let go, how to accept, and how to forgive, then the past cannot collect more and more wounds. The present moment is sending all the wounds to the past, usually. But now it is not sending any more wounds to the past. The present is not sending any more wounds to the past. That means the past wounds can dry by itself. By itself. If we can correct the present, then the present moment is a medicine. Being in the present is a medicine. It's a natural medicine. And by doing this, we can heal most of our past wounds. It's a natural healing. I think we better to try this more than going to the past again and again and find out how many wounds are there, how many problems are there, and how many times we had to try to heal them. Again, I would like to emphasize this: for 1 or 2 or 3 times, more than enough. That's enough.
Thank you, Upul. So, Claudia, this is what I understood. Nothing is wrong with going to the past. If you have enough time, you can heal the past. But how many issues are there in the past? And how many times do we go to the past for solving one issue? The problem is that we are making more issues. So Upul's suggestion is, in therapy, you can go to the past and work on major issues, maybe for one issue. But the best thing is to focus on the present moment. The present moment is a natural medicine. And the present moment can heal the past wounds. So that is better than going to the past over and over again. Is there anything you would like to add, Claudia? Thank you. There's a long question from Christian. To see beyond the conditioned mind, we have to be very present. To put interest beyond old and ever repeating accumulations, feelings, thoughts, memories, we must be even more present. In Pali, Chitta Ekagata. How we realize when our mind is at the peak to the beyond, the unknown. What are the signs? I hope the question is clear, says Christian. So I'll try to, I'll repeat it again. I'll try to clarify it. To see beyond the conditioned mind, we have to be present. To put interest beyond old and ever repeating accumulations, feelings, thoughts, memories, we have to be even more present. How can we realize when our mind is at the peak to the beyond or the unknown? What are the signs? So, Upul, we have to be in the present moment to see beyond the conditioned mind and also to see past old and ever repeating accumulations. How can we realize when our mind is at the peak or to the beyond? What are the signs? That is Christian's question.
Well. Yes, there is no doubt or no second word. We have to be in the present. That is the foundation. Without being in the present, we cannot do anything further. So all the meditative activities are based on the present moment. Because of what? The present moment is not a ritual. Being in the present moment is not a religion. It is not a religious activity or meritorious action. And it is not a ritual either. Then why we have to be in the present? Because only the present moment is real. Only the reality is in the present moment. Past is a memory, and the future is a plan, is an expectation. Past is a memory, future is a hope, a plan, and both are thoughts. Both are thoughts. Expectations are thoughts. Memories are thoughts in the present moment. In the present moment, they are present thoughts. So that means we cannot work with the past. We cannot work with the future. We can only work with our present thoughts. That's all. By working with present thoughts, we can work with the past. We can work with the future. So that's why we have to be in the present. We have to be more and more aware in the present. And of course, the ego is accumulating everything. The ego is so greedy Therefore, it is always accumulating and collecting things. And most of them are garbages, but it is collecting and accumulating garbages. Because the ego itself does not have anything. The ego itself does not have anything originally. It is naked. The ego is naked. It doesn't have anything. So it is borrowing things from others to wear, to make itself beautiful and handsome. The ego is borrowing things. After borrowing things, the ego thinks they are mine. After wearing others' dress, the ego feels and the ego thinks they are mine. And the ego does not want to give them back whatever it borrowed. And so this is the way how ego is growing. We have to be very aware, my dear friends. We have to be very, very aware about this. One day, the nature is asking everything in return. Whatever the nature gives to the ego, the nature is asking everything back. The nature does not forget it, but the ego forgets. The ego thinks they are belong to the ego. The ego simply forget that they are belongs to others. The ego forget that the ego was borrowing them, but the nature does not forget. Therefore, one day the nature asks everything back. And then what happens to the ego? So this is, it can be a shock to the ego. And if we identify ourselves with this egoistic accumulation, then we will be shocked whenever things are going away, falling down, falling into pieces, then we may be shocked. But by understanding this, we can simply let them go. Let them go. Even before the nature asks everything back, we can give them. We can return them. We can let go of the ownership. And then whatever happens to us, it's okay. It's okay. Then the nature cannot hurt us. The nature cannot hurt us because we are not using anything. We are not owning anything which is really belong to the nature. We do not make any ownership to whatever which are not originally and really belong to us. So this is called selflessness. Selflessness. And this is the ultimate answer for all these problems and pain.
Did you finish your answer, Upul? I couldn't hear the last part.
the last part is this is the ultimate solution.
Okay, thank you. So I forgot who asked the question actually. Can't remember. Anyway, oh yeah, I think it was Christian. Christian, you asked a question about being in the present moment, and Upul's answer was, there is nothing beyond being in the present. Being present is not a religion. Why do we have to be in the present? Because it is the only reality. Past is a memory. Future is a plan or a hope, and both are thoughts. We cannot work with the past. We cannot work with the future. We can only work with the It's only borrowing things. We do not own anything. Nature owns everything. Everything belongs to nature. Nature cannot hurt us. So that means there is no ownership, no personal ownership. That is called selflessness. And that is the ultimate answer for all the problems that we have. This is what I understood from Upul. Christian, is that clear, or would you like to add something? He already answered. Thank you. It is clear to me. I wish you all a nice evening or afternoon. Dependent where you are. May you be well and happy. Okay. So I think there is one more question. I don't see any hand raised. So I go back to the chat box and I see okay, there is one question. This will probably be the last question, so I see if there is a hand that is raised. No hand raised. Okay, then this is the last question from, yeah, there is one from Upeka. Please, Upeka, feel free. There is one question in the chat box, but it's about a topic that has been discussed before, so you can ask the last question today.
Okay, thank you. I hope that my topic has not also been discussed earlier. I wasn't able to participate in some of the parts that were in the middle of the night. Upul, I was wondering if you can give an example of how not to take the ego seriously when you're feeling bad. So you mentioned earlier in the question and answer part that when you're feeling this depression, anxiety, and other bad feelings, don't take the ego too seriously. So if you have an example or a practical application for that, I would love to hear it. Thank you.
So Upul, the question basically is, can you please give an example of not taking the ego seriously when we are feeling bad?
Well, thanks, Paul, and thanks, Upeka. Well, when we are feeling bad, then what the ego does, the ego says, we are bad. We are bad. You are bad now. And actually, we are feeling bad. We are not bad. We are feeling bad. We are experiencing something painful. We are experiencing something dark. We are going through some pain. That's the reality. But the ego doesn't say this, that you are going through something painful, you are going through some difficulties, you are feeling bad. No, the ego says, you are bad, you are bad, you are wrong, you are in the hell. And we believe it. Maybe we do not believe anybody else as our own ego. The ego is our Holy Bible. The ego, our Holy Scripture is our own ego. So whatever the ego says, that's the ultimate truth for everybody, all of us. So when the ego says you are bad, now you are negative, now you are depressed, now you are anxious, we say yes, 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 madam, yes, madam, yes. Sir. But actually, that's not true. We are experiencing some depression. We are experiencing some depressed thoughts. I would like to say it in this way. There are two kinds of illnesses or sicknesses, physical and mental. And I was reflecting on both deeply. And what is the main difference in between physical sickness and psychological sickness? What is the main difference? And what I observe, or what I have observed is there are no sick people. Only physical sicknesses are there. Only fever is there. Only coldness is there, or whatever. Sicknesses are there. Sicknesses are existing. But nobody is sick. Nobody is sick. No patients. Really no patients. Only sicknesses are there. But it is interesting that so-called psychological sicknesses. In psychological sicknesses, actually there is no psychological sickness. But sick people are there. Patients are there. So that means identification is there. Identification. The ego is there. Ego is so strong. We think the ego is so weak when we are psychologically sick. No, that's not true. The ego is really sick. When we are psychologically weak, then the ego is so strong. That's why it can manipulate us. It can play all kinds of games with us. That's why. So, you're asking some practical examples. So I am giving practical examples. We should not identify ourselves with whatever we experience or whatever we feel. But we can be aware, yes, we are feeling this. That's true. We are feeling. We are experiencing. We are going through the darkness. But we are not the darkness. We are just going through a dark tunnel. That's all. But we are not. We are not the darkness. We are not the dark tunnel. We are experiencing some anxiety, anxious thoughts. That's all. And if we identify ourselves with depression, then what happens is we think that we are depressed. Always we think we are depressed. From morning to the evening, we think we are depressed, depressed, depressed. But the reality is there are some moments where depression is not there. Some pleasant moments are there. Beautiful moments are there. The light is there. But we cannot experience them because we think we are depressed. So, how possible to see pleasantness, beauty, if we are depressed? So we cannot see, we are blind. But if we think that, oh yeah, we are going through some depressive thoughts, then at the same time we can see some other things. So don't be blind, please. The ego is trying to make us blind, but please stay awake and open your eyes and realize this, that you are not bad. You are just feeling something bad. That's all. That's all.
Thank you so much, Upul. So, Upika, if it's okay with you, I will simply very briefly summarize what Upul said, and then we can come to a conclusion of this meditation day. So this is what I wrote down. The ego says we are bad, but that is not the case. We are feeling bad. We are experiencing something painful, but the ego says you are that. You are bad, and we believe that. So the ego is our holy scripture, our holy Bible, the ultimate truth for us. We identify with our feelings and our experiences. So you ask for a practical tip or a practical example. Don't identify with your feelings or your experiences. We are not the darkness. There is darkness. Don't identify with your depression. You are not depressed. The truth is, there are depressed moments. But if we consider ourselves as depressed, then we are not open to the happy and positive and joyful experiences that are also there. So the ego makes us blind. Identification makes us blind. So that is, I think, the core of what Upul said. And before I give the word to him to come to a conclusion of this meditation day, I would simply like to mention that very briefly, that those of you who would like to make a donation can do so. And this time, as previous time, we are not using Mar Jurado's account in Spain, but we are using Claudia's account in Germany, bank account, and you can find that bank account on the invitation letter that you received from our host, from Mar. So if you would like to contribute financially, that would be very much appreciated. Thank you very much. As you know, in the Buddhist tradition, there is no fixed amount asked or charged for the teaching, but of course, in these difficult times, Nilambe has to survive, Upul has to survive. So thank you. And thank you. I hope I'm happy everything went well technically. And I give the last word to Upul for a conclusion of this meditation day.
Thanks, dear Paul. Thank you very much, dear Paul, for moderating our discussion. And we all appreciate your presence. And I hope it's not so cold there in northern part of India. And also thank you for announced about the donations. Dear friends, yes, again, I hope we are having a kind of good retreat, good time, and we all need this for time to time as a refreshment and also as a light on to our path. So yes, journey we had to go by ourselves, and because it's an inner journey, so we are going inside of us. Therefore, it is something individual, but this kind of group activities are really supporting us. And we are very fortunate to have such a wonderful group circle like now, as now. So I am very grateful for all of you, really, for all of you, for your presence and for your participation and for your contributions. Contribution means contribute to the meditation, to the world, to the universe, as I explained in the morning. And I can't do these things by myself without your support. This retreat organized Ma and Claudia together, and I think Ma did the hard part, sending you emails and creating Zoom link and coordinating and being a host for whole day today. Dear Ma, you are doing a beautiful job, beautiful service, voluntary service, and I personally appreciate it, and I am sharing my personal gratitude with all of us today towards you, sending it towards you. And also, dear Claudia, you also part of this organizing team, and always you are giving us wise suggestions and guidance, and also you did the beautiful chanting today, as always. So thank you very much, dear Claudia, to help to organize this retreat. And my dear friends, if we are fortunate enough, then we can meet physically in near future or later in Ilambe or in somewhere. But that's not so important. Not so important. It might be important, but not so important. Because whenever we meditate, we feel that we are sitting together. We are sitting together. We feel all of our friends' presence. Therefore, please don't feel that you are alone. No one is alone. No one can be alone. The practice is always with us. With this picture, with this thought, let me say goodbye to all of you. May you be well, may you be happy, and may you be free from all kinds of dangers. May all of us be true friends to ourselves and to the entire universe. Goodbye and good night.